So I would like to share with you my experiences of telecom sector and the PSUs. PSUs are a boring subject, you know, we reel out a lot of data and nobody loves PSUs. They use it only. And I would like to share my experiences of PSUs. See, there were some of the very largest companies in the telecom sector which were really doing a great business. I like to list them. There was one called MTNL, then there was the BSNL, there is TCIL, there was a company called ITI, and a whole lot of other small subsidiaries. ITI, for example, the company which started manufacturing the telephone instruments, was the first to be set up immediately after independent India. And you might have heard of companies like Huawei, which is a very powerful Chinese company. They supply telecom equipment all over the world. ITI was much earlier and which was doing a lot of jobs. But suddenly I found that ITI disappeared and Huawei is one of the leaders. We'll have to ask that question why. Then we had a company called MTNL. I was CFO of that company for 7 years. I used to say that MTNL was the one company who had customers. Anyone you name them, they were our customers. In Delhi and Bombay, this was a company which was running the telecom sector of Delhi and Bombay. And right from Dilip Kumar to the President of India, they were our customer. And we were doing a great job. But then suddenly, MTNL became a sick company. And I'll tell you why and how. And I would like to tell you this company, MTNL, very specifically, because the MTNL, when the corporatization came in and when privatization started coming into India, MTNL was one stock which was, the government wanted to disinvest a part of the company. And in order to disinvest the company, when we went to the market, we were amazed. All over the world, people showed interest in these stocks of MTNL. And MTNL was divested. I was a part of that process. We were going to London, Singapore, US, everywhere. And we were into a big league. All the big companies and the financial companies were interested in buying our stock. And we sold that stock. But afterwards, the freedom which we wanted was not given and the MTNL became a sick company. When the telecom operator came into the mobile telephones, there was a time when you call, you have to pay. When you receive a phone call, you have to pay. आज की तरह नहीं है कि आप घंटों घंटों कब मारते रहते हैं फ्री में, ऐसा नहीं था तब. जब आप टेलीफोन की कॉल रिसीव करते थे, you had to pay. And then when you had to receive a call, you had to pay. Now this was a very difficult kind of a tariff regime. But when BSNL came, we started a tariff which was only outgoing call charges. And the other thing was that we went into the rural areas. गांव में कोई टेलीफोन नहीं लगाना चाहता था मोबाइल का. छोटे शहरों में कोई मोबाइल फोन नहीं लगाना चाहता था. All the big operators, which are private operators like Airtel, Vodafone and so on and so forth, they were only operating in the big cities and metropolitan cities. We went into the rural areas. When we went to the rural areas, everybody laughed at us, saying that, look, these people will be folding back, they will have no revenue, nobody will buy their phone because in the rural areas, people are very poor. I would like to share with you this experience. We started with 40 lakh telephones. 40 lakh telephones were sold in 6 months. Every person in the rural area wanted the telephone from BSNL. And then I was amazed. Once I had tears in my eyes, I went to a hospital and I found that there was a young man who was talking on the phone to his mother. And he said, "माँ मैं बीमार हूँ और मेरे पास पैसे नहीं है, खाना नहीं खाया है." तो मैंने उससे पूछा कि भाई तुमने क्यों फोन क्यों चला रहे हो? कहने लगा फोन के बिना तो मर जाऊंगा, खाना नहीं खाऊंगा तब भी चल जाएगा. So that was the necessity of communicating that we provided and the telephone has provided. Of course, a lot of credit goes to the private operators also. They have done a great job. I'm not criticizing them. But PSUs, telecom companies did a great job in India. And the reach of BSNL was to some of the remotest part of the country and which was our, I would say, was a feather in our cap. I would also like to share with you when a lot of these PSUs, some of them were privatized and private companies came in. The manpower and the technical skills which are running the private companies, they all came from PSUs. If you take power sector, a lot of people went from NTPC. Similarly, if you take oil sector, a lot of people went from ONGC and Indian Oil and so on. So there is a HR which is very, very powerful in these PSUs. PSUs are a big story, and I thank Arnav and your team for organizing this program. But then you will have to also recommend that the PSUs should be given a little freedom and a little space to work, because some of the PSUs can do wonders and they are very powerful in terms of manpower, in terms of technical knowledge and so on.